This is a book review of the book Mickey 7. Now, firstly, ignore this. Second of all, today, though, I want to talk about how books should be written. Mickey 7 is one of the most philosophical books of recent times. That's also an impact of sci-fi into it, as well as romanticism into it. Now, these kinds of books don't really exist anymore, and I thought they'd never be written again, but apparently they do exist, and they're being written right now. Incredible sci-fi story itself being about the cloning and philosophical questions that mankind should be asking each other. The kind of questions that goes ahead and makes your brain tick. The kind of questions that goes ahead and makes you ask questions. So first of all, I'd like to summarize Mickey 7 a little bit. Now, Mickey 7 is a book about colonizing planets. Now, that's nothing new. That idea has been in the concept for at least decades, and that idea has been attempted for at least, about a decade now. So seriously, sending humans to Mars is still really, really a long shot. And as a result, you're going to need someone to do your stuff for you, and that kind of stuff is the ones that might get you killed, the ones that will get you killed, and the ones that you really need lab rats for, like testing a vaccine or something like that. Using drones might be a great way to do that, but they're costly too. First of all, they're costly to go ahead and replace. Secondly, you can't exactly test a vaccine on robots. You're gonna have to do it on living things. And thirdly, you could always bioprint another human. You can always clone another human. And this is where the thing Expendables comes in. Expendables. Now, Expendables themselves isn't really a new concept, apparently. In fact, apparently, Expendables have been existing for about 500 years. So after the philosophical and the ethical concerns were being dealt with, they were only in use for 200-ish years. These numbers might be very inaccurate. Now, this is thousands of years in the future, if not hundreds of thousands, probably thousands more likely. But in these thousands of futures later, it apparently works like this. Our own Mother Earth has been destroyed. Not destroyed in the sense of the planet itself being exploded, but in the sense of there are no humans living on there anymore. Or if there are, we have no idea what they're doing because we don't talk to them. Why? Because apparently humans became humans, did what humans do best, and created World War III. Oops, not World War IV, World War III. And as a result of creating World War III, they decided to use something way better than hydrogen bombs. And by way better, I just mean more destructive. It doesn't mean that there's way better. They used the dreaded antimatter bomb. And using that dreaded antimatter bomb, 50% of the Earth's population was destroyed, and they called this the so-called diaspora. And because the so-called diaspora was happening all the time, they had to colonize somewhere else, or at least try to save Mother Earth. Unfortunately for them, they decided that restarting somewhere else is way better, and they created something called the Union. They tried colonizing some place, and they succeeded. So it took them 2 tries. They don't tell other people this because low morale, not good for morale. So this planet itself, they went ahead, colonized it, and they sent to other planets where they were able to colonize it. They were able to colonize some parts, and they failed some part. Afterwards, of course, they went ahead and create something called the Union. So for obvious reasons, they decided to deny membership towards Earth because they were from Earth and they knew what Earth was like, and they saw Earthlings were cannibalistic and that they were higher, more supreme beings than these guys. Even though that's technically not the case. I'm just surprised that after thousands of years of evolution, they never actually evolved biologically wise. Probably because they were humans should always look like this. Oh, God, he looks like this. Oh, wait, he can do this better. But no, he doesn't look right. We're gonna cancel his life. I'm pretty sure that's why they didn't even change at all. That's one of the few things about Mickey 7 that I personally like. So here, why Mickey 7 is a pretty big philosophical question after you got all the context, and why they kind of had ethical concerns with the bioprinter, the thing that they used to, not the bioprinter, the tank. They call it the tank in the book, not the bioprinter, that's in the movie. The tank. Sorry, I watched the movie a few hours ago. The tank. The printing tank. They go ahead and put the guy in the tank, they clone him back, and then, well, they created 8. Unfortunately, so for them, 7 never died, and so when he returned to base, he met 8, and they're like, oh no, we are... So after having themselves realizing that they were all, hey, you know what? Well, one of us is going to die. Rock, paper, scissors shoots this thing, and then 7 unfortunately has to die. But then A was like, you know what? I'm humane. They go ahead and trade jobs. This guy for some reason did all the dangerous jobs. This guy for some reason did all the agricultural jobs, and then they literally shared 50% of the meals, which this guy kept having because he couldn't. He just refused to die, or he just didn't die, I suppose. Of course, eventually they were found out. Firstly, by their girlfriend, and then secondly, well, technically not firstly by their girlfriend, but firstly by a security guy named a woman named Kat, and then their girlfriend, and then of course that's then exactly worked out the way that they planned, and boom bayat, they're all doomed to die. These guys decided that they were told by their own superior, Marshall. This guy was relevant in the story earlier, but I couldn't exactly see how I could put him in the important main plots. This guy was the one who was having the rations, by the way. Marshall went ahead and sent these two to go ahead and deal with the native inhabitants of Niflheim, the planet that they were living on. I know, it took me 6 minutes. I'm terrible. I'm terrible at giving context, okay? I'm terrible at storytelling. Unless it's me who's making the story. And then they go ahead and they're supposed to talk to these creepers, the native inhabitants of the planet, and that didn't exactly work well enough because this guy was the one who killed Mickey 6, and so they had Mickey 6's current the transformation, like the communication device, but then they realized it wasn't working properly because, well, you know, when they tried to send understand, they literally went ahead and sent this. At least I believe they were trying to send understand. You can't exactly figure out what this word is. But then after the Mickeys were being sent to go ahead and plant antimatter bombs and then detonate them, killing all the creepers on mass murder, 8 was like, oh wow, what the heck is this? Before he could even press the trigger, he is already dead. So this thing's not off, this thing's off, this thing's not on, and if it was on, it wouldn't exactly kill all the creepers. And as a result, they went ahead, stole Mickey 8's transmitter, and then they, for some reason, spoke in English. They went ahead and talked in English towards him, and then afterwards, you know, everything happened. Mickey 7 became the ambassador. Marshall was certainly angry because he believed that the creepers had an antimatter bomb, and he was like, I'm gonna kill you, Mickey. But then Mickey decided to go all smart ass and he's like, hey, kill me, they're gonna tell them to turn on the bomb. What? You're a human, you're not a creeper. Yeah, but the creepers are as humane as us. In the entirety thousands of histories of, you know, colonization in the Union, apparently there was only one other species that humans were able to coexist with, and that was some sort of woodland species. Culturally and technology-wise, they were highly advanced, but materially-wise, they didn't exactly have access to, like, metals and stuff, which we humans have way much more of. And as a result, they went ahead and, did something else about it, and this is probably the second time they'll be able to coexist with them if Marshall is able to be keeping in check and if he doesn't die at all, that is. Oh, and something I want to mention, there's this friend named Berto who sucks at being a friend. In fact, he's one of the reasons why Mickey 7 was expendable in the first place. But I think I'm talking more about the summary than I'm talking about the book. The thing about this book, though, is that it's incredible. The incredible thing about this book is that there should be more books like this. Science fiction, philosophy. There's only books that talk about philosophy itself, but not in the sense of a story. There are sci-fi books, but they're more like, hey, what would happen if this happened? What would happen if this happened? They don't even talk about they don't try to even talk about the philosophical context. They don't even talk about alien life. Well, some of them do, but then again, they always show them as aliens, as the ones who go ahead and go to the humans and then just destroy the humans just because, well, you know, they're humans. They're like, we're mindless beings who go ahead and kill humans, so human must kill us. So yeah, that one's ethically correct because they're trying to kill us. I'm gonna try to kill them. That kind of stuff, okay? Mickey 7 here talks about it in a different way. Talks about alien species as if they were also sentient and as if they were also going ahead and not murderers. They were not going to kidnap us and they really wanted to coexist with us or just wanted to have nothing to do with us. Like, leave us alone. Leave us alone, we'll leave you alone, that kind of stuff. And I really believe that more books like this should exist. Oh, and then this is when I should be reading about the sequel. And yeah, there's my fingernail over there. There's my fingernail over there. And until next time, though, Shihon out, peace. Bye-bye. Oh, and you really should read this book. It's out. It's out.